Greetings, salutations, and welcome to Sportslook, the sports television program for the high plains of West Texas and eastern New Mexico. I'm your host, Doc Elder, and just like the sheet music for a player piano, we're on a roll tonight. We've got Kelly Lee and Paul Terry from Greyhound football. We've got Dan Kwani, Isaiah Murphy, and Darius Sawyer from Greyhound basketball. We've got a high school spotlight courtesy of Orlando and Landry. I'll finish up with an overtime. But as always, I'll start out with an Eastern recap. Saturday was the regional cross-country meet, and the Greyhound women finished in 13th place. Greyhound women's soccer had their last match of the season. They lost to Lubbock Christian 3-0. But on the other hand, Greyhound men's soccer had their last match of the season. They beat Lubbock Christian 2-0. And the big success story coming out at the weekend outside of Greyhound football, more about that in a minute. Greyhound women's basketball, they started out the season with a win over New Mexico Highlands and then a win over Fort Lewis College. They are now 2-0. Well, that has been your Eastern recap. So what we'll do is we'll clear this out and we'll bring in our first guests, Kelly Lee and Paul Terry, right now. Welcome back to Sportslook, and we welcome back to the set of Sportslook two veterans of Sportslook. We've got Paul Terry and Kelly Lee from Greyhound football. And guys, welcome back to Sportslook.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks, Doc. Appreciate it.
Kelly, earlier in the week I talked to you and I pointed out that apparently if you beat a nationally ranked football team, people take notice. Certainly the Lone Star Conference did. For the first time all year, one school got all three Player of the Week awards, and it was you guys.
Yeah, it's exciting. Nice to see them recognize our young men and their effort in the game against Angelo. Paul got the Offensive Player of the Week award, well-deserved. Mason Richards, freshman defensive end, 3.5 sacks, got the Defensive Player of the Week. And then Tyler Vargas, who does a lot for us, but kicked the game winner. Field goal, got the Special Teams Player of the Week. So it was a good week to be a Greyhound.
Paul, of course, it was senior day. That always makes it special. You guys had come off two tough losses, but I imagine the fact it was senior day helped to get you guys going.
Yeah, that too, and Coach Lee was emphasizing all week just how we needed the young guys to sort of go out there and play hard for us, because all the seniors are obviously going to play hard just because we know it's our last time on that field. But just getting the young guys going and having them make plays was big for us.
Paul, looking back at your career, you've had a lot of highlights. Of course, obviously beating nationally ranked Angelo would rate up there. But if you had to look back and say there was one game in your career that really will stand out for all time, what was the most important game to you?
I'd have to say my freshman year when we played, I think they were number 4, but it was Midwestern. And it was kind of it wasn't a back and forth game. We were really just beating on them all game, and then the fourth quarter they kind of sparked up. But we had to come back, and Wyatt threw a literally last second play to Aaron Johnson for the winner, and we upset them and ruined their dreams a little bit.
Absolutely. Kelly, looking back at your senior class, if there was one thing that's going to stand out about that group and you had to say one thing about that senior class, what would you say about those guys?
Good resilience. You know, they've battled and played a lot of good football teams. You know, from the time when they were freshmen, you're talking about that season, to the quality of opponents we've played the last 3 years. Have probably been the toughest schedule that a group of 4 seniors have ever gone through, playing quality teams and to battle and be winners and have so many great wins through that time. Just really speaks volumes about their toughness and their drive.
On Saturday, as we pointed out, you were playing a nationally ranked team, Angelo, and if you looked at the scoreboard at the end of the first half, it was 10-3 in favor of Angelo. It could easily have been 17-3. You guys, just a few bad breaks kept you from scoring, and one really lucky break gave them a score.
Yeah, we had gotten in the red zone a couple times, and then penalties took us out of scoring opportunities, and then I thought our defense was playing fantastic, and we had a chance to knock a ball down and batted it up, had a chance to intercept it, batted it up, they caught it, and ran it down to the 1 or 2 and got their touchdown. So even though it was 10-3 at half, we felt like we had kind of got the better of them in the first half, and we knew it was kind of the game was going the way it needed to go for us to beat them. So we felt pretty good at half.
Paul, at what point in that game did you recognize, hey, they may be nationally ranked, but we can play with these guys?
Well, I think even before we went out there and stepped on the field, we knew the team we could have been all year, and we just didn't necessarily show it all the time. But we knew what we could do, and we knew like how we play, and we knew that they didn't want to necessarily go against our tough offense and defense. But I guess you could say.
Right from the opening kickoff.
Yeah.
There you go.
Right from the kickoff, we were ready.
Well, guys, we had our crew out filming highlights. We've got a highlight reel, so let's cue it up and please walk us through it.
Sure. Senior day, there's Paul and his parents, mom and dad. Starting the game off, I think that's first drive. I think that was a 4th down. Paul picked it up. 4th and 2, we got about 10. Picked up a couple 4th downs early. There's another one on speed option. We don't get Paul the ball a lot on the perimeter, but every now and then we're able to. He has to earn a lot of his yards in between the tackles. Midline option, Wyatt read it right, and Paul got it. Start play right up the gut, ends up outside with a nice stiff arm. One of the times we get in the gun, running a little counter read, and nice play there. Paul had it carried it 40 times, so I imagine most of these highlights are going to be his runs. Chop play right there, you're going to see it. A lot of different ways we're able to get him the ball. The belly play, speed option, trap, the read play. That's just our basic triple option. Wyatt did a great job reading it all game.
Senior day, man.
Yeah.
Got me cold a little bit.
Yeah, you just stumbled a couple times. Another one of those reads right there. And that's how Paul gets his yards. I mean, he just grinds it out. And at the end of the game, you look up and he has 200 of them. And, it's a great effort. Ball security's good there. You carry it 40 times, they're going to be raking it out. But just kept moving the chains. Really the kind of game we needed to play. There's a belly play for about a 14-yard touchdown run.
And check out the moves here.
So, I mean,
he wasn't too happy about that.
Yeah, I wasn't too happy about that. Maybe we could get him on Dancing and Stars. This was a big one. They had just took the lead 70-10, and I think that was the first play of the drive. We popped a 40-yarder and got right back in scoring range. So that was a big play right there.
Paul, the question I have to ask you is, after you carry the ball 40 times, was it a little hard getting out of bed on Sunday morning?
Yeah, definitely a little bit, but I mean, just still having the feeling of the win and just how hard our team worked. I didn't really feel it the next morning.
Coach, we actually had Paul on earlier this year and found out that even though he grew up in Canyon, Texas, wasn't recruited by WT, was recruited by you guys. What did you see in him?
Well, we just thought he had a really good vision and ran. He kind of played in a spread offense, but he ran hard up the middle. And then we found out when he had played in Dallas, he'd actually played in a similar offense. We played like a wing T style where he was actually the fullback. And, we thought, well, he'll fit right in, with what we do. So it was kind of a no-brainer for us to recruit him.
Paul, I had never seen some of those camera angles before. It really gave me much more of a sense of the mesh point where Wyatt puts the ball into you or something. At what point do you know that you're going to get the ball, or is it as much of a mystery to you as it is to the defense?
Sometimes Wyatt, with him being so smart and knowing the offense, he'll reach back and sometimes whisper, just hit it hard, and then but other than that, it's honestly mostly a mystery. But I don't know. I feel like just having some of the experience I earned this year was just I was seeing it a little bit clearer, and just I don't know, it kind of just took off.
And I'll ask you a question, and we just assume that we don't have people from Western Oregon or they're watching this show, so hopefully we're not giving anything away. If you had to say there was one play that you really, really like to run and you hope that is going to get called from the sideline, what's your favorite play?
I just have to say one of the toss plays where I go in motion and just get out in the open field and make some moves, try to get loose and hopefully score a touchdown.
Well, Kelly, of course, that was our last Lone Star Conference game of the year, but still one game to play. What can we expect from Western Oregon on Saturday?
A real quality opponent. They're 7-3 on the year. They're just won their first conference championship. They're finished up, so they're playing good football. They've played a bunch of Lone Star schools. Really tough, physical, defensive team. Maybe we might have a little bit of speed advantage, but they play extremely hard. And offensively, they're really improved offensively. Same kids they had last year, but much better. And they've really committed to running the ball. So in this game, there's probably not going to be a lot of possessions. The clock's going to be churning pretty fast. We talked today about we got to make the most of them, make sure we're getting quality drives and doing what we do.
Well, gentlemen, congratulations. And if they're 7-3 right now and you guys are 6-4, let's hope both teams end up 7-4.
That'd be fantastic.
Yes, sir.
That's the plan.
That's my math for you. Well, that is going to wrap up an first guest segment of Sportslook. So what we'll do is we'll go to the set and we'll cue up a high school spotlight right now.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to another edition of High School Spotlight. I'm Orlando Perez.
And I'm Landry Widener.
Last weekend, we were able to head down to Elida and catch Springer Maxwell Red Devils versus the Tigers in the six-man state championship.
It's getting really exciting, especially with all the championships starting, and we're going to be seeing a lot more to come. But let's dive into these highlights to see how six-man ended up.
The Tigers will get things started by handing it off to number 16, Will Haley, and Haley will take the ball 25 yards down the field.
Here's Haley again on this next play, scrambling and going around the entire defense and eventually taking it in for the Tigers' first touchdown of the ball game.
The Devils with the ball, and they'll answer Elida's first play with a long run of their own. That's number 10, Jose Urquijo, racing towards the end zone, but Elida's Colton Ferguson will make the touchdown-saving tackle.
Check out Elida's defense here as they take down number 23 for the Red Devils quickly after he gets the snap.
The Devils will run a flea flicker on this play and hit number 20, Jeremiah Apodaca, in the flat. Apodaca immediately gets the ball and cuts across the field and outruns most of the defense before finally being brought down by a gang of Elida defenders.
Urquijo will go with a quick pass here, and it's Diego Maestas who receives it, and he'll bring this one in for Springer's second touchdown up on the board. The score is now left at 7-15 with about 10 minutes left in the half.
Elida trying to get things going offensively, but the Devils' defense does a great job of not allowing Tigers running back Wesley Poling to get the edge.
Ferguson for the Tigers will get the ball now, and he's going to get the first down with a big run.
The Tigers just inches away from the goal line, handed to number 10, Tyler Belcher, and nothing will stop him as he bulldozes his way into the end zone. Elida closes the gap with just 2 points separating the teams at this point.
Switching possessions now, the Red Devils will try to get it going, but the Tigers' defense has other ideas as Rylan Creighton and Johnny Woodruff for Elida get the sack.
After the sack, the Devils looking to regain those lost yards, and they will when the quarterback hits number 3, Jake Peak, on a deep post route across the middle.
Urquijo decides to take this one for himself, and his running game will get him the first down for the Red Devils.
The Devils within striking distance, and it almost looks like a busted play, but the quarterback pitches it to a nearby teammate. That's number 5, Wesley Jeffrey, finding the end zone for the Devils. The Devils increase their lead 23-13.
Apodaca will get the pitch on this next play, and he thinks about throwing it, but instead decides to run it out on the sideline, and he'll keep going before finally being brought down.
The Devils were looking to pass it on this play, but the quarterback decides to take it himself and manages to get the first down.
After a change of possession, Ferguson airs it out and it lands into Poling's hands and in the end zone. The score is now 20-23 with 21 seconds left in the third.
The Devils go to the air on offense, hitting Peak on the same route we just saw a few plays ago for the first down.
Urquijo gets the snap, and he'll get it going through the air as Maestas does the rest by running it in for another jump on the Red Devils' lead in the state championship game.
Tegan Burton looking to lead the Tigers downfield as he hits Poling for a first down after a nice catch and run.
Apodaca tries to run this one out, and he succeeds as he pulls a few spin moves and is brought down around the 35 to get the first down.
After a couple of penalties, the Devils are needing to get a big gain for the first down, and they got just that as Burton gets the ball and races 25 yards down the field.
Elida, now desperate to get anything going in these final minutes, they air it out and Poling comes down with it in the end zone. But it's not enough, as the final score of this championship game is 26-29.
The Devils lost to the Tigers earlier in the season 49-6, but they complete the upset, taking down the favorites to win the 2019 six-man state title and the program's first ever state championship.
And now moving on to the rest of the state playoffs in New Mexico. Starting with 8-man, Tatum and Melrose are taking on each other for the third time this season in the state championship game.
This week in the 2A state brackets, number 1 Eunice will take on Fort Sumner House, and number 3 Texaco will take on number 7 Hagerman.
And on the 3A bracket, we have some quarterfinals, starting with Socorro and Raton, Tularosa and Dexter will take on each other, Robertson and West Las Vegas, and the fourth matchup is Cobre versus Hope Christian.
In the 4A state rankings, number 1 Bloomfield will take on number 8 Ruidoso, number 5 Kirtland Central will take on number 4 Grants, number 3 Lovington will take on number 6 Aztec, and number 10 Silver will take on number 2 Portales.
And moving on to 5A, number 1 Roswell will take on number 9 Alamogordo, number 5 Deming will take on number 4 Farmington, number 3 Goddard will take on number 6 Piedra Vista, and number 10 Artesia will take on number 2 Los Lunas.
In the 6A state bracket, number 1 Volcano Vista will take on number 8 Mayfield, number 5 Las Cruces is taking on number 4 Rio Rancho, number 3 Cleveland is taking on number 6 Centennial, and number 7 La Cueva is taking on number 2 Clovis. Thanks for watching another edition of High School Spotlight.
Before we throw it back to Doc, make sure you like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more updates, photos, and highlights. Once again, I'm Landry Widener.
And I'm Orlando Perez, and we'll see you next week.
Welcome back to Sportslook. Thanks to Orlando and Landry for that look at a championship and 3 guys that we hope are playing for a Lone Star Conference championship come March. We've got Dane Kawani, we've got Isaiah Murphy, we've got Darius Sawyer from Greyhound Basketball. Guys, welcome to Sportslook.
Thanks for having us.
Dane, we'll start out with you. Where are you from originally, and what was the process that got you to play basketball at Eastern?
Originally, I'm from South Sudan. Both my parents South Sudanese. They migrated to Kenya. That's where I was born. That's where some of my siblings were born. And then when I was young, we moved to Australia. That's where I picked up the basketball.
And how did you get from Australia to the United States?
I had a really good coach when I was growing up, and he had me some good looks. And I ended up going to a junior college, and then from there I transferred here.
Very good.
Yeah.
Isaiah, what's the process that got, or where are you from originally, and what got you to Eastern?
Well, I'm from Japan originally. I moved to Tucson, Arizona when I was a sophomore in high school. So, and then I went to junior college in Tucson as well. So Pima Community College. I did well there, and then I ended up coming to Eastern. So.
And I feel a little bit ashamed of myself because I just found out recently you actually competed for Japan this summer.
Yes. Yeah.
How did that happen?
Yeah, I have Japanese citizenship, so I was able to play for the national team, the under-19 Japan national team. So.
How cool! Well, there are a lot of stories, and unfortunately, we've only got 9 minutes, so
Right.
we'll save it for another episode of Sportslook. And Darius, where are you from, and what was the process that got you
I
here?
am from Inverness, Florida, and out of JUCO, Miami. Coach Shaw was recruiting me to go to Midwestern, but he got the job here, and so I kind of followed Coach Shaw, and that's how I got here.
And from what I understand, you have a connection to the state of New Mexico.
I do. My dad played at the University of New Mexico. Yes, sir.
More will be said about that in a minute. Last year, you guys had 5 seniors, 5 really good seniors, and now you're one of the guys that's stepping into a leadership role. How has your position on the team changed with that transition?
It's changed a lot. Now guys look at me as more as a go-to guy, somebody they can go to with anything, whether it be on the court or off the court. Just being that leader and being that overall guy that they need. So it's a pretty big role.
Absolutely. Isaiah, last year, a lot of times you were the only underclassman that was starting. It was usually 4 seniors and you. How has your role changed from being just one of the guys and now being the senior coming back as a starter?
Definitely. I feel like more of a leader role, definitely. Coming into practice and knowing everything we did last year. So just having that experience, I feel like I'm in a bigger of a leader role now. So.
Very good. And Dang, I'll ask you the same question. How has your role on the team changed from last year to this year?
Yeah, my role has changed a lot. Last year I was kind of like on this most of the time on the second, third unit, but this year I have a bit more load on my shoulder, and guys look at me for like answers. Like Darius said before, we've been through the Lone Star. We had a year of experience. A lot of guys come to us, and we got to be that. Those leaders that can like give out the answers when required.
Very good. Well, gentlemen, at this point in the season, you've had 2 exhibition games and you've actually played 2 games that count in the standings. In what ways have the games been similar, Darius? In what ways have each of the games been different?
Similar, I'd say both games, all the games have been physical, but differential, playing the Division I teams, the D2 teams, just the speed and the size, of course, of the players.
Very good. And Isaiah, how about from your perspective? What's been the same? What's been different?
I feel like the same thing he said, but I felt like we've competed at the same level, throughout all the games we played, whether it was a D1 or a D2, we've just always competed, so.
And Dang, the same question for you. What's been the same? What's been different?
Yeah, for me it's a bit different. It's the size difference, but like it's never been anything to do with competition. Like, whenever we step on the court, we don't really think about who we playing. It's just another player we got to play against. And that's the way we look at a D2 game, at a D1 game. We just come in with the same mentality. And the ultimate goal is usually trying to get a win.
Absolutely. Well, Darius, we talked about the fact that you do have a connection to the University of New Mexico, and lo and behold, last week you were playing against the University of New Mexico. We had a crew there, guys, and they filmed a highlight reel, so we'll cue up the highlights, and please, 3 of you walk us through it.
Get the shot off right there.
Now in transition.
Give it
That's
a head.
Yep. That's the thing with us. We got to play fast. We're a big athletic team, so we want to get out and run.
Right. And we got big guys who can move like this, so it's a big help.
We always want to shoot at a high percentage. So.
Oh, yes.
It's getting out in transition.
They aren't going to stop you, just taking the ball
Right.
and move.
Mm-hmm.
There you go, Donald.
Little showtime
A
there.
little bit.
That's
I have the privilege of walking around the Greyhound Arena from time to time when you guys are doing individual workouts. And Darius, I'll point out you. I noticed that you've increased your shooting range. I saw you deliberately going a little bit further. And was that something you just want to do, or something Coach Segler said, hey, we're going to have to get punched?
It was both. I know last year I didn't shoot the ball as much or as well as I'd like to, but this year, moving back to the wing position, I have more of the freedom to, shoot the ball more. So that's really me and Coach C have been talking about that since the summer.
Isaiah, of course, the highlights that we saw from you were spotting up and people were getting you the ball, but people better be careful if they just expect you to shoot the ball. You've got a pretty good, quick first step.
right. Yeah, I like to get to the cup if, people try to push up on me, so, yes, sir.
And Deng, let me ask you a question about the fundamental that we saw you, where you took the ball into the paint and you threw up the jump hook. Is that something you just naturally developed on your own, or was there somebody who taught you that particular move?
To be honest, it's something like some of the moves that we make in the game, we work on them. We just never know when we're going to use them. And then just at that time, it just so happened that the guy, I hit him with a jab and he kind of backed out. So I just took it and did it just a basic jump hook.
For people that aren't aware, the Lone Star Conference is still the Lone Star Conference in name, but it's a totally different beast. It's twice as big, and you guys are only going to be playing some teams once. You're going to be playing some teams twice. Darius, looks to me like you got a pretty competitive pod to be in.
Yeah, we do. We do. It's a lot of teams, a bunch of good guys, but it should be fun.
And Isaiah, what's the thing that's just kind of, when you looked at the team that are coming into the Lone Star Conference, what were the names that was immediately like, this is going to be a good team to play?
Definitely Lubbock Christian. I knew they were a good team to play. Definitely Dallas Baptist as well. I knew there were some new teams that were coming into the conference that were really good, so we got to be ready to play.
Well, dang, I can imagine that you can't wait for teams to get to Greyhound Arena because you guys are almost unbeatable at home.
Yeah, you know, we put in a lot of hours in our home gym, you know, so like we're very comfortable. So like it's always an advantage, and you know, we have access that other people don't when they come here to play us.
And one thing I really like is after a game, you guys make a definite effort to go around the horseshoe, and anybody who wants to come down and slap hands with you guys are going to give them a slap back.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, gentlemen, you had a great season last year, finished in 4th place in the Lone Star Conference, came within a hair's breadth of winning your first conference game in like 18 years of the tournament. So best of luck this year, and let's hope that we are broadcasting championship in March.
Sir,
Well,
thank you.
sir. Thanks for having us.
All right, well, that is going to wrap up our second interview segment. So what we'll do is we'll clear the set, and I'll finish up with an overtime right now. Congratulations to the University of Minnesota football team. On Saturday, they beat Penn State, starting out the season 9-0. That's the best start the school has had to a football season since the 03 campaign. Not 2003, 1903. Yeah, 116 years ago, Minnesota started out 9-0. They're 9-0 right now. Right up next for the Golden Gophers will be a game against the University of Iowa. And some of you are saying, Doc, that's got to be a dilemma for you because Minnesota, your birth state, Iowa, the state that you grew up in, which team are you going to root for? The correct answer is neither, because I went to Northwestern, which is a completely different Big Ten university. Well, that is going to wrap up in overtime, and that will wrap up an episode of Sportslook. I'd like to thank my guests, Kelly Lee and Paul Terry from Greyhound Football, Dan Kawani, Isaiah Murphy, and Darius Sawyer from Greyhound Basketball. I'd like to thank Orlando and Landry for the high school spotlight. I had 2 floor directors. I had Arijah and I had Sadie. So for all those aforementioned people, this is Doc Elder saying, so long.
Number 20, Jeremiah Appledoctor.